Well, welcome back, class. Go ahead and open up your books to page 461. We are at Lesson 2, Reflections, for Chapter 6 here. Going to go ahead and get started here, but pause if you need to. Get your book out. Go to page 461. Here it says, this kind of relates to art. It says, Pysanky is an ancient Ukrainian art of egg decorating. Many artists use flips and lines of symmetry to create their designs. Use the activity to create your own Pysanky design. Now, here we have the template shown represents the front view of the egg. It's been divided into 4 sections, or what we refer to in the coordinate plane as our 4 quadrants. We have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So what we're going to do here to create our egg, and I'm going to just kind of do a basic drawing here. You can get more complex if you want. Is I'm going to draw a design. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to make something here, and then there. Okay, so I'm just kind of going to make a triangle here, and I'm going to connect my dots. So there's kind of my design right there. Now I need to repeat steps 2 and 3 to fill in quadrants 3 and quadrant 4. And you can create a new design basically by drawing the mirror images of each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to kind of flip it right across the y-axis and get it into quadrant 1. So I need to draw the mirror image of this in quadrant 1. Well, the mirror image, it won't be where I have the triangle basically slid over, where the tall side will be here and diagonally down this way. It's not going to look like that. It's going to be a mirror image. So what I look is this point here is 1 away from the y-axis because I'm flipping it across the y-axis. So that same point over here is going to be 1 away. This point here is 1, 2, 3 away. So here I go 1, 2, 3 away, and I make that dot. Then at the same level, this is 1, 2, 3 units away from the y-axis. So I go 1, 2, 3 away from the y-axis there. So mirror images actually kind of look like that. Okay. So there's kind of the start of my design. And then repeat steps 2 and 3 to fill in quadrant 3 and 4. So I'm going to here flip it across the x-axis. So I'm counting how many spots away from the x-axis these are. So this here is 1 spot up. So to reflect it, I'm going to go 1 spot down. Here it's 1 spot up, so I'm going to go 1 spot down. Then this dot is 1, 2, 3 spots up, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spots down and connect my dots. Okay. Then I do the same thing here. It's 1 up, so I go 1 down. That one's 1 up, so I go 1 down. That's 1, 2, 3 up, so I go 1, 2, 3 down. Connect my dots. And so there I've used reflection to kind of repeat an image. Now your drawings could be a little bit more creative, or might actually be a little bit better than mine, even if you do the same thing. But that's kind of the main idea there. So here we have an important word, not necessarily a highlighted vocab word, but an important word. Line of symmetry is when a figure can be folded so one side is the mirror image of the other side. Does your Pysanky have a line of symmetry? Explain. So here, basically it's saying if I take this and I were to fold it in half, would it match that? Okay, would it flip back and forth? Or if I folded, would these basically, if I folded it together like this, would they lay on top of each other and match up perfectly? And here, yes, it would. So to explain that, I would just say yes, because the images are reflections. So that means there should be then a line of symmetry if the images are reflections. All right? So, for the most part. Here we go. Go to the next page here. This is the most important idea right here. This is where everything comes together. If you understand this, you should be able to do these no problem. It says to reflect a figure over the x-axis, multiply your y-coordinate by -1. So here's the key here. I want you to underline x-axis. Okay, so for your x-axis, if it says reflect across the x-axis, you actually leave the x numbers alone. Okay, so here it says your x is originally a normal x, and it stays a normal x. But your y in the original is a normal y, and then it becomes a negative y. So if you're reflecting across the x-axis, then underline this, the y-coordinate changes by -1. So if I'm flipping across the x stays the same, but the y changes the sign. So a great example here is the top point here, which is the bottom point down here, is -4, +4. Well, when I flip it across the x-axis right here, my -4, the x number, stays -4. But notice my y number went from +4 to -4, okay? Or if this was the original image, you know, my x number is -4, then you could say it changed there to negative, or stayed the same at -4, but then your y number went from a negative to a positive. So kind of you always change the opposite. Here, x-axis is what you're reflecting or flipping across, so you change the opposite. So, oh, x-axis, I know I have to change the y. Same is true over here. So if I reflect across the y-axis, underline that. If I change across the y-axis, I know, okay, y stays the same, I have to change my x. And if you look here, the top coordinate here is 4, 4. So to flip across the y-axis, I know that my second number, my y, stays a +4. Well here, my x then is a +4. I know, oh, I'm flipping across the y-axis, so my x is going to change from a +4 over to a -4. Okay? So here we have some vocab words. A reflection, and I would just underline mirror image. That's exactly what a reflection is. It's a mirror image. Okay? Then it says the line of reflection. Okay? So the line of reflection is, I'm going to put right here, I want you to underline the line right there. The line of reflection is basically just what you're reflecting across. So here it's my y-axis, here it's my x-axis, okay? So the line of reflection, it's simply a line, and I would have, you can underline this part, distance from the line of reflection, okay? So notice the distance from these should be the same. This is 2 this way from the line of reflection, so I know when reflected, I should be 2 this way. All right? This image here basically communicates the same idea as before. Originally, up here, your ABC triangle here, A is 5, Y is 2, so I'm going to read the directions, and I flip across the x-axis. That's going to tell me, okay, x-axis, my x's stay the same. All my y's should change. So notice 2 becomes -2, 3 becomes -3, 1 becomes -1, but all your x's, notice, stay the exact same. Okay? Now this little apostrophe here, this is important, where it has a apostrophe, that's called a prime. Okay? The original image has a, then that little apostrophe is referred to as prime. So you have A, the original, then A prime, you know, is the reflection. That way you know what's first and then what's second. The first one is just A, then the second one is what we call A prime. All right? Now let's look up here. Same idea going on once again, except this one's simply showing you, I want you to underline y-axis. Here you're reflecting across the y-axis, so immediately you should think, okay, my y numbers stay the same, all my x numbers will change. And if you look at it, x is 2, so what's it going to become? -2. Boom. And this is k prime. Then y number stayed the same. X is 5, so you know right away, okay, 5 is my x, x's are changing, that goes to -5. 4 becomes -4 right there. Then your +1 will become a -1 right there. All the y numbers stay the same. Now we're actually going to graph one here. So here it says, triangle PQR has vertices of 1, 5, 3, 7, and 4, -1. Graph the figure and its reflection over the y-axis. So immediately that tells you something. All my y's are going to stay the same. My x's are what's going to change. So here I'm going to have P prime. Don't forget your little apostrophe on the second one. Now, knowing this point P is 1, 5, y-axis, my y number is going to stay the same. My x number then is what changes from 1 to -1. Then my next point is Q prime. It's 3, 7. Your y stays the same. That's the 7. 3 becomes negative 3. Then finally R prime. So 4 is my x. That's what's changing. So it goes to negative 4. My y stays the same at negative 1. And then I graph it right over in here. So I go negative 1, 5. So back 1 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I have negative 3, 7, so back 3, 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's P prime, that's Q prime. And then negative 4, negative 1, so back 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1. That's R prime. So it's going to be, so your reflection, and if that could be a straight line, be a little bit better. Your reflection then should look like that, okay? So now I need to graph the original figure because it says graph the original and its reflection. I'm going to graph the original 1, 5, forward 1, up 5. That's P. Forward 3, up 7. That's Q. Oh, not prime, just Q. And then R is forward 4, down 1. That's R. I connect my dots. And if you have any artistic ability whatsoever, which I do not, they should still look fairly similar. Okay? So there you go. Now, looking here, you have the figure below, which is a frog. And if you do a reflection, you can actually easily make the second half of your frog look just like the first. Basically, it says you're reflecting over the y-axis, which is the up and down. So you know all your x numbers are changing. That's basically what it's showing you there. Okay? But we're going to do an actual example with the picture as our final example right here. It says the figure at the right is reflected over the x-axis. So that means, okay, x numbers stay the same, y numbers change. So I have point A, and then I have point B. And I can't do a proper reflection unless I know what those points are. It didn't give me those points, so I have to find out what they are. Point A is back from the origin, 1, 2, up 2. So I know A is negative 2, 2. Then point B is forward 2 and then up 2. So it's 2, 2. Now I can do my A prime and B prime. Keep in mind it said reflects over the x-axis, so I know my x numbers stay the same. Then my y numbers are what change. So that 2 becomes a negative 2. So point A is now negative 2, negative 2. So that's A prime. And then point B becomes 2, negative 2. So forward 2, down 2. That's B prime. And then if I had any artistic ability whatsoever, I could actually kind of draw. Oh, that's a bad semicircle. I could draw my little points. That one would be like that. Hey, over here is not bad, for me at least, you know. And then you have that one there, that one there, that one there. Okay, so that's my beautiful sun. Anyway, that's reflection. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to come back tomorrow.